What happens when America's most beloved funny man completely snaps on late-night television? It only took 23 seconds for Adam Sandler to go from laughing with Jimmy Fallon to absolutely losing it. And what he said before storming off that stage left the entire audience in complete shock. Before we dive into this explosive confrontation, make sure you smash that subscribe button right now. We bring you daily videos exposing Hollywood's darkest scandals, the moments they try to hide, and the confrontations that celebrities wish never made it to air. Don't miss a single upload. Last night on The Tonight Show, what was supposed to be a fun appearance promoting Adam Sandler's new comedy special turned into one of the most uncomfortable and dramatic moments in late-night television history. The mood in Studio 6B went from playful to absolutely hostile in a matter of minutes, and by the end, Adam Sandler walked off that set in a way that nobody could have predicted. Adam Sandler came out to his usual hero's welcome. The audience was on their feet, cheering, clapping, going absolutely crazy for him. The energy in that studio was electric, with people screaming his name, holding up signs, showing the kind of love that only a true comedy legend gets. He did his signature wave, that goofy smile plastered across his face, high-fived some fans in the front row who were losing their minds, and sat down across from Jimmy with that big, comfortable energy everyone knows and loves. Jimmy was doing his classic excited energy, bouncing in his seat, laughing before Adam even said anything funny, slapping his desk like he always does when he's really amped up about a guest. Everything seemed absolutely perfect. The vibe was fun, casual, exactly what you'd expect from two guys who've known each other for years in the comedy world. They started talking about the new special, with Adam telling some hilarious behind-the-scenes stories about filming it with his buddies, about the pranks they pulled on each other, about how they almost got kicked out of one location because they were laughing too loud during takes. The crowd was loving every single second of it, hanging on Adam's every word, erupting in laughter at all the right moments. Jimmy was eating it up, doing his usual over-the-top reactions, that thing where he leans back and slaps the desk and goes, "No way! No way!" even though he's probably heard some of these stories before. The band was smiling. The crew was chuckling. Everyone in that studio was having a great time. For the first few minutes, it was classic Tonight Show stuff, the kind of easy, breezy interview that makes late-night television work. Adam would tell a joke. Jimmy would laugh so hard, he'd throw his head back and his eyes would water. They'd riff on something together, about their kids, or growing up, or whatever random topic came up, and the audience would applaud enthusiastically. Adam was completely relaxed, leaning back in his chair, gesturing with his hands as he talked, doing those funny voices he's famous for, making faces. Jimmy was in his element, keeping things light and fun, asking softball questions about Adam's family, about making movies with his friends, about his favorite moments from the new special, about all the usual stuff that comes up in these interviews that fans love hearing about. But then, Jimmy brought up something that changed the entire energy in the room. He leaned forward with this weird smile on his face, that kind of smile that looks friendly on the surface, but has something else underneath it, something that made you wonder what was coming next. "So, Adam, I gotta ask you something," Jimmy said, and there was this noticeable shift in his tone, from playful and light to something more serious, more pointed. "There's been a lot of talk about your movies lately, online and in reviews and stuff, about how you make the same kind of movie over and over. Like, you've got this thing you do, and you stick to it. Do you ever worry that maybe it's time to try something different? To challenge yourself a little more? To push yourself outside that comfort zone?" The audience got noticeably quieter. You could feel the shift, like someone had turned down the volume on the whole room. Adam's smile stayed on his face, but if you were watching closely, you could see his eyes change. They went from warm and friendly to cautious and guarded in about half a second. He laughed a little, but it wasn't his real laugh, not that genuine belly laugh he'd been doing moments before. "Challenge myself?" Adam said, tilting his head slightly, his eyebrows raised. "Jimmy, I've been making movies for like 30 years, man. 30 years of getting up every day, working with amazing people, creating stuff that makes people happy. I think I've challenged myself plenty over those 3 decades." Jimmy laughed, but even his laugh felt different now, forced, like he was trying to keep the mood light, but knew he'd already changed it. No, I know that. You're incredibly talented, nobody's questioning that. Everyone knows you're brilliant. But come on. You have to admit, a lot of your recent stuff is pretty similar, right? You go to a nice tropical location, you bring your buddies along, you make jokes, everyone has a good time, the movie comes out. It's kind of become the Adam Sandler formula at this point, hasn't it? The way Jimmy said formula hung in the air like a challenge, like an accusation wrapped in a smile. Adam's whole posture shifted. He sat up a little straighter, his shoulders tensing, and his smile faded just a bit, his mouth tightening at the corners. "Formula?" Adam repeated, letting the word sit there for a second. "That's an interesting word choice, Jimmy. Really interesting. You make it sound like I'm just phoning it in or something, like I'm not putting in effort, like I wake up and go, let's just do the same thing again." "I'm not saying that at all," Jimmy said quickly, his hands up in a defensive gesture, but he kept going anyway, digging himself deeper. "I'm just saying, like, you've got this amazing talent, this incredible gift for comedy and acting, and some people wonder if you're really using it to its full potential. Like, we all saw you in Uncut Gems. That performance was absolutely incredible, just phenomenal. Everyone was talking about it. You showed this whole other side of yourself. So why go back to making, the silly vacation movies, the ones where you're just hanging out with your buddies? Don't you want to do more of that serious, challenging work?" Adam's jaw tightened visibly, the muscles working underneath his skin. The audience was completely silent now, every single person sensing that something was wrong, that this wasn't the usual playful banter and friendly ribbing they were used to seeing between host and guest. This was something else, something uncomfortable. "The silly vacation movies," Adam said slowly, deliberately, his voice getting an edge to it that wasn't there before. "Is that what we're calling them now? Is that the official term? The movies that millions and millions of people watch and love? The movies that make families laugh together? The movies that make people happy when they're going through tough times? Those silly vacation movies?" Jimmy seemed to realize he'd stepped in something, that he'd hit a nerve. But instead of backing off and changing the subject like most hosts would, he actually doubled down. "Adam, come on, don't get defensive about this. I'm not trying to attack you. I'm just asking what a lot of critics and fans have been asking for years now. Don't you want to do more serious work? Don't you want to be taken seriously as an actor? To get the kind of recognition that your talent deserves?" And that's when you could see Adam's whole demeanor change. His face went from slightly annoyed to genuinely angry. He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, and stared at Jimmy with an intensity that made Jimmy visibly uncomfortable. "Taken seriously?" Adam's voice was louder now, sharp. "Jimmy, I've been taken seriously by the people who matter. The people who buy tickets. The people who watch my stuff with their families. The people who tell me my movies got them through hard times, or made them laugh when they needed it most. Those people take me seriously." Jimmy tried to laugh it off, doing that nervous thing where he touches his hair and looks at the audience. Okay, I didn't mean to upset you. I just thought we could have an honest conversation about your career choices." "Honest conversation?" Adam stood up slightly. Not all the way, but enough that it felt aggressive. "You want honest? How about we talk about how you sit here every night, kissing up to every celebrity who walks through that door, laughing at everything they say, whether it's funny or not. And then you have the balls to sit here and criticize how I make my living? The audience gasped, like you could hear the sharp intake of breath from hundreds of people at once. Jimmy's face went pale. He clearly had not expected this reaction at all. "Adam, I wasn't criticizing," Jimmy started, but Adam cut him off. "Yes, you were. That's exactly what you were doing. You were sitting here, on your show, in front of all these people, basically saying my work isn't good enough. That I'm not living up to some standard that you and the critics have decided I should meet." Jimmy's hands went up defensively. "That's not what I said. You're twisting my words." "Am I?" Adam shot back. "Because it sure as hell sounded like you were saying my movies are lazy. That I'm taking the easy way out. That I should be doing something more important with my time." The tension was absolutely insane now. The band members were looking at each other nervously. The audience didn't know whether to watch or look away. Jimmy was sweating visibly under the studio lights. "Look, Adam, I think you're misunderstanding." Jimmy tried again. "No, I understand perfectly," Adam interrupted, his voice getting even louder. "I understand that you invited me here to promote my work, and instead, you decided to use it as an opportunity to take shots at me, to make yourself look smart by making me look like I'm wasting my talent." Jimmy stood up now too, trying to regain some control of the situation. "Adam, that's not fair. I was just asking a question that people have been asking." "Oh, so now you're just doing what other people want." Adam's laugh was bitter and harsh. "That's rich, coming from you, Mr. Safe. Mr. Never Take a Risk. You think I don't know what people say about you? That you're too nice? That you never challenge anyone? That every interview is just you giggling and playing games?" Jimmy's face flushed red now. You could see anger flashing in his eyes. "At least I treat my guests with respect. At least I don't make the same movie 15 times and expect everyone to pat me on the back for it." The audience actually gasped louder this time. Some people put their hands over their mouths. This had crossed a line. Both of them had crossed lines, but this was beyond anything anyone expected to see on The Tonight Show. Adam took a step closer to Jimmy's desk. "You want to go there? Really? You want to talk about doing the same thing over and over? You've been doing the exact same show for 10 years, Jimmy. The same games, the same bits, the same fake laugh at everything. At least I'm honest about what I do. At least I don't pretend to be something I'm not." "I'm not pretending anything." Jimmy's voice cracked slightly. "I'm trying to do a show here, and you're making it impossible because you can't handle one simple question about your career." "Simple question?" Adam's voice was like thunder now. "You call that a simple question? You basically insulted everything I've worked for, everything I've built, and now you're acting like I'm the one who's out of line?" Jimmy pointed at Adam, his hand shaking slightly. "You know what your problem is? You can't take criticism. You've surrounded yourself with yes men for so long that you've forgotten what it's like when someone actually tells you the truth." Adam went completely still. His face was red, his fists were clenched at his sides, and when he spoke, his voice was quiet but dangerous. "The truth? You want to talk about truth? The truth is that you're jealous. You're jealous because I get to make what I want, with who I want, and people still show up. I don't have to kiss anyone's ass. I don't have to play it safe. I do what makes me happy, and that drives people like you crazy." "Jealous?" Jimmy laughed, but it sounded forced and desperate. "Of what? Your Netflix deal where you pump out garbage?" The second that word garbage left Jimmy's mouth, you could see Adam's entire body tense up. It was like watching someone flip a switch. His eyes went dark. His jaw clenched so hard you could see the muscles working in his cheeks. "You know what, Jimmy? Screw this." Adam reached down and unclipped his microphone from his shirt, the sound of it scratching against the fabric echoing through the silent studio. "I came here thinking we were friends. I came here thinking this would be fun. But clearly, you had a different plan." "Adam, don't be ridiculous," Jimmy said, but his voice had lost all its confidence. "Sit down. Let's talk about this." "Talk about what?" Adam threw his microphone onto the chair where he'd been sitting. It bounced once and fell to the floor. "Talk about how you think my work is garbage? Talk about how you think I'm wasting my talent? No thanks. I've heard enough." Jimmy's face was a mix of anger and panic now. "You're really going to walk out? In the middle of the show?" "Watch me," Adam said, and started walking toward the exit. The audience was frozen. Nobody was clapping, nobody was cheering, nobody knew what to do. The cameras kept rolling, capturing every second of this disaster. "This is so unprofessional," Jimmy called after him, his voice cracking with frustration and embarrassment. Adam stopped and turned around one more time. The look on his face was pure contempt. "You want to talk about unprofessional? You invited me on your show and ambushed me. You disrespected my work in front of millions of people. And now you're surprised that I'm leaving? That's on you, Jimmy. All of this is on you." "I was just trying to have a real conversation," Jimmy shouted back, his composure completely gone now. "No," Adam said, shaking his head. "You were trying to make yourself look good at my expense. And you know what? It backfired. Enjoy the rest of your show." And with that, Adam Sandler turned and walked straight off the set. He went past the band, past the crew members who were standing there with their mouths open, past everyone. The heavy studio door slammed shut behind him with a boom that echoed through the space. Jimmy stood there at his desk, his face bright red, his chest heaving with rapid breaths. The audience sat in absolute stunned silence. Nobody knew if they should applaud or boo or just sit there. The awkwardness was suffocating. The cameras captured Jimmy's face as he tried to process what had just happened, tried to figure out how to salvage the show. But there was no salvaging this. One of the biggest comedy stars in the world had just walked off The Tonight Show after calling out the host on live television. The show that was supposed to be a fun, light-hearted promotion had turned into a full-blown disaster. Adam Sandler had gone completely off-script, stood his ground against someone he thought was a friend, and walked away without looking back. The confrontation that nobody saw coming had exploded in spectacular fashion, and the door slamming shut behind Adam was the final punctuation mark on one of the most dramatic exits in late-night television history.